Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to have another lesson by me, Mr. Forrester. Today what we're going to do is have a lesson on nouns. So we're going to answer a few different questions based on nouns, and hopefully we're going to help improve the knowledge that you all would have already had based on that topic. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be able to define a noun. So we're going to know what a noun is exactly based on the definition that we will be given. We're going to be able to state the differences between both common and proper nouns. So if you wouldn't have learned about it before, what you're going to do is you're going to be introduced to common and proper nouns today. And we're going to learn a bit more about that. And lastly, we're going to actually use those new common and proper nouns in a sentence to make sure that not only can you identify them, but that you can also use them for yourself to help improve your writing as well. So the first and most important question, what exactly is a noun? So a noun is a very general term. It's a naming word, as you might have learned in a class before. It can name several different things, and anything that has a name, that name that it has would qualify itself as a noun. So the first thing that a noun can be a name of is a person. So your name itself would be a noun. So if your name is Jason or Mary or Shelley, that is a name, that is a noun, right? So we have here James, Jane, girl, boy, Bruce. And we have three little children here. That would also be a noun. The word children itself there would also be a noun, right? So after we have person, what we have is place. So you all would know this wonderful island that we have here. This is our island, and the name of this island would also be a noun. So we have Trinidad and Tobago, we have Caroni, we have town, village, airport, San Fernando, and Barbados. So it's not just here or there or everywhere. The name of any place, if you live Port of Spain, if you live Diego Martin, if you live Moruga, if you live St. Mary's, wherever you are from, that will also be a noun as well. So we have people, we have places, we have animals. So if you have a pet, that pet would be a noun as well. So if you have a dog, cat, turtle, a pet snake for some reason, that would be a noun as well. It would also qualify. So what we have here, we have cow, pigeon, Simba the lion, if you have seen that movie. We have Bon Bon the rabbit, alligator. So the name of your pet would also be a noun, as well as what type of pet it is. So if you have Sally the snake, Sally, her name, that is a noun. Snake would also be a noun in itself. The last major thing that a noun can be is a thing. So what we have here is a nice picture of a sword, and that will form the basis for one of our things. So we have Excalibur on top, which is the name of a famous sword in history. We have sword itself. We have a bat, so not the bat that flies around, because that would qualify as a animal, right? So we have bat like a cricket bat. We have ball, we have diamond, we have fruiter, which is a juice, and we have juice by itself. So now that we have established what a noun is, what we are going to do is to find some ways that we can identify nouns in a sentence. So if the word in a sentence can answer the question what or who/whom, then that is a noun. So we have a sentence here. Jane is riding her bike, right? So if we are asking the question, who is riding the bike? Then the answer to that question would be Jane. Jane in that sentence would be a noun. So that is one way of helping us to identify what the noun is, right? So second question, what is Jane riding? So in this sentence, same sentence as before, Jane is riding a bike. So bike itself would be another noun example. So in this sentence we have here, it's actually two nouns. We have Jane and we have bike. And the action that they are doing that links it would be riding. Good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little exercise where we identify nouns in a picture. So I'm going to give you the picture. I'm going to wait a little while for you to find as many as you can. If you can write it down, you can keep it in your mind. Keep any record of it so you see how many you can find, and I will list a few of the ones that you will be able to find in this. Good luck. Good. So we have our first picture here, and I want you to take a little while and think about what you can see in this picture. What here would qualify itself as a noun? Think about it. Right. So what we have here is a horse. And horse itself would be an example of a noun. So a horse is an animal. It's a naming word. It's an example. It's a good one. So as I said before, whatever pet you have will also qualify as a noun as well. Let's see the other one. So this one has it has a lot of nouns in it. So I want you to take your time and find as many as you can. I won't be listing them all, but I'm going to give you a chance, and then I'm going to tell you a few of them that there are in this particular one. So you ready? So let's see. So we have girl or girls, because there are several of them, so that's one. We have a rope, so the jumping rope would also be a noun. We have the clothes that they are wearing, so we have dresses, we have pants, we have a top. Right? We have hair. Hair would also qualify, and we have different things like that. So we have several different nouns that you could have found in this. What you have to know now is how many you found, and if you can find any more other than the ones that I have listed. Let's go again. Right. So this is another picture that has a few different nouns in it. So you have to really think about it, because a lot of the things in this picture that qualifies as nouns you may ignore without actually giving it a chance. So let's think about it for a little while. Right. So let's see what we have. So we have a few dragons we have there. We have an island, which would be a place. As we said, a place is a noun. We have what looks like a castle in the background. And one of the ones that I mentioned that you might actually ignore are the clouds that they are. That there's the sky that is there. It seems to have the ocean or the sea. So there are other nouns that you may not actually think about without analyzing the picture carefully. What you have to keep in mind is that a noun can be anything with a name, because a noun is a naming word. So as we said, person, place, animal, or thing. Always keep that in mind, and it will help you to find them. So let's see if we can put what we learned into practice by actually finding nouns in a few sentences. So I will read, you read with me, and then we're going to see how many of the nouns in the sentences we can find together. So for number one, we have, the girl chased Bon Bon the rabbit all through the village. The girl chased Bon Bon the rabbit all through the village. For number two, I am on my way to the airport to catch a flight to Barbados, where I will be visiting James. So I am on my way to the airport to catch a flight to Barbados, where I will be visiting James. King Arthur pulled a sword named Excalibur from the stone. Right? King Arthur pulled a sword named Excalibur from the stone. And lastly, we have, the dragon flew over San Fernando. So we have 4 sentences there, and I'm going to give you a little while, and we're going to go through them one by one and see if we can find a few of the nouns that there are in it. Right? So let's see what we have. So in number one, the girl chased Bon Bon the rabbit through the village. We have girl, we have Bon Bon, which is the name of the rabbit, which forms number 3, and we have village. So we have person, 2 animals, and we have a place. Did you find all of the nouns in number 1? If not, try to see if you can get it with number 2. So let's see. I am on my way to the airport, so that's 1, to catch a flight to Barbados, that's 2, where I will be visiting James, that's 3. So we have airport, Barbados, and James. Again, 2 places and a person. So as I said before, whatever your name is would also qualify itself as a noun. So let's try number 3 and see if we can keep this nice train going. King Arthur pulled a sword named Excalibur from the stone. So we have King Arthur, we have sword, as we learned before, we have Excalibur, the sword that I was telling you about, and we actually have stone, which was not one we touched on, but stone would be a thing as well. And lastly, the dragon flew over San Fernando. We have dragon, and we have San Fernando. So those of you who would know, you should. San Fernando is a place in Trinidad that would also qualify as a noun. Very good. So now we're going to move on to common and proper nouns. And just like before, with the list of all the different things, I want you to pay attention to this picture because it's going to come in handy in a little while. Because what we have here is a dog named Fido, and that's going to be important to the difference between a common and a proper noun in a little while. Right, so we're going to start with common nouns themselves now. So common nouns are general words for persons, places, animals, or things. They are not specific to any one thing. They are just like girl or boy. Nobody is named girl or boy. They're just the name of one particular thing, right? You have desk, you have shoe, you have shirt. They are just general things, right? The thing about common nouns, because they are not special or specific, they do not begin with a capital letter unless they begin a sentence. So normally when you find them in a sentence, they are just written normally, right? So we have, my uncle drove my sister and her friends to the movies in his car. Some of the nouns there, uncle, sister, friends, movies, and car, they are all general, right? So you could have more than one uncle. And because it's a common noun, it refers to just anyone. You'd have no specific one. Even though you may be thinking about a specific uncle, you just use the normal word. So sister, a person can have more than one sister, right? Friends, you can have more than one friend. There are many, many movies, and there are many different types of cars and makes of cars and all of those things. So what you have to keep in mind is that a common noun is very general. There's nothing specific about it, nothing that ties it down to one particular thing, right? And that is the difference between that and what we're going to get into in a while. Proper nouns. So these are the name of specific things. They are still nouns. They are still the names of persons, places, animals, or things, but they are specific. So the example I used before, where you have boy and girl. A boy and a girl, very general names for children. But what you can have is a boy named James or a girl named Jane, right? You're talking about one specific one. So if the teacher in your class decides to call on you, they won't say a boy. They will call you by your name. Your name is specific to you. It pertains to you only, and that's how people can identify you. So the same thing with your pets. So I have a pet dog named Simba. His name would be a proper noun, but the fact that he's a dog would be a common noun. So that's where the difference comes in. One is general, that's common nouns. One is specific, that's proper nouns. And because it's specific, because it's a special name, it begins with a capital letter always, whether it's the beginning of the sentence or not. Some good things to remember are proper nouns that always begin with a capital letter, things like days of the week and months of the year. You always have those beginning with a capital letter because they are proper nouns. Because you could say, I will check you some month. You could also say, I will check you in July. So July there would be the proper noun, right? So it's the same sentence we're dealing with from before, but this one, instead of having a common noun, we have a general thing. So we have Uncle James, so instead of just my uncle, we have one specific uncle. So we have Uncle James drove Sarah, James, and Michael to South Park Cinema. So Sarah might have been the sister that they were talking about before, and James and Michael might be her friends, right? And the cinema that they went to is South Park Cinema. So as we would know, there are many cinemas throughout Trinidad and Tobago. You have South Park, you have C3, you have Digicel, all of those different things. But if you're thinking about one particular one, then that name would be a proper noun. Good? So we know there are other nouns here, but they are not proper. So uncle would be a common noun. That's why it's not particularly highlighted. We're only dealing with proper nouns on this one. So remember, always capitalize those proper nouns, including your name and the name of anybody that you put on paper. If you're writing somebody's name, it has to be capitalized. So ways of identifying common nouns and proper nouns now. So as we said, a common noun is generic. That means it's just a basic name for anything, anyone that you might have, right? So as I said before, it's not capitalized unless it's at the beginning of a sentence. It's just the boy and the girl are both playing outside. You have boy, you have girl. You might not know exactly who the sentence is referring to. Those are common nouns. Good? They are simple and they are generic. A proper noun, it functions the same way as a common noun. It doesn't change your entire thinking of what a noun is or anything like that. The only difference is, the only major difference is, it's specific to one thing, right? So, specific to whatever that noun is. It's not generic and it's always capitalized. The first letter of it is always capitalized. Good? Good. Right. So now we have a few both common and proper examples of the same sort of sentences. So we have common, I want to be an actor. So actor there, common noun, because you have many different actors and actresses. Common. But then we have Hugh Jackman is a very good actor. So now we're talking about one specific actor. So that's where the proper comes in. Good? We have I want to get a pet kitten. Should have gotten a dog. Kit Kat is the cutest kitten I've ever seen. So we are talking about one particular, apparently very cute kitten in this instance, right? Let us go into the city. Common, city is the noun, right? Generic, there are many cities. Then you have, I would like to go into Porto, Spain later this week. So you know exactly which city the person is going into, right? Would you like a cookie? Maybe after I'm done recording. I have a pack of indulgence to share with you. So good. So you're sharing with your friend an indulgence there. Again, a specific type of cookie. So you have indulgence, you have Oreos, things like that. One particular cookie. So you know if you want it or not. If you eat indulgence, but you don't eat something like Oreos, a common noun wouldn't actually give you what you want to know. Right? So good. So this one, I want you to remember, we are only dealing with proper nouns. So the proper nouns are the specific names for things. Remember that. So I want you to go through these sentences with me, and we're going to find the different proper nouns in these sentences. And what we will do is we will get the common ones after. So number one, the girl chased Bon Bon the rabbit through the village. So take a little time, and I want you to find the proper nouns only in that sentence. See if you can accomplish that. Right? So you have them. Number two, I am on my way to the airport to catch a flight to Barbados, where I will be visiting James. Good. Proper nouns only. Number three, King Arthur pulled a sword named Excalibur from the stone. So that's three. And number four, the dragon flew over San Fernando. Take a little time. Proper nouns only. Right? So we're going to start going over them now. Right. So the girl chased Bon Bon the rabbit through the village. So there are several different rabbits. You may have a pet rabbit, so you never know. And your rabbit will have a different name. So if you hear somebody is chasing Bon Bon the rabbit, and your rabbit isn't named Bon Bon, then you will know not to worry. Your rabbit is safe. So Bon Bon there is a specific name to one rabbit. Right. So number two, I am on my way to the airport to catch a flight to Barbados, one specific country where I will be visiting James. So you may be going Barbados another time to visit Sally or Michael or Jeremiah. So you have to know who exactly you're visiting when you're going. Number 3. So we have King Arthur. So there's one particular king, because you may have any number. Pulled a sword named Excalibur. So we have the sword. We know that Excalibur is a sword, but this one has a name. So it's one particular thing from the stone. So we knew from before that sword and stone are also nouns, but they are not proper nouns. So they won't be here. And for number 4, the dragon flew over San Fernando. So if you live Port of Spain and you hear that a dragon flying over San Fernando, you know that it's not coming by you and you are relatively safe. But if you just say the dragon flew over the city, then you won't be sure. So let's go on to see if we can identify the common nouns now. So number 1, the girl chased Bon Bon the rabbit through the village. So we have 3 common nouns in that sentence. We have girl, which, as I said before, is definitely a common noun. It can be something used to identify any number of female children. We have rabbit. So in this instance, you have where somebody is chasing a rabbit through the street, and you may think it's yours because you have a rabbit and they didn't tell you exactly what the name is. So you may go outside and decide to check on yours through the village. Good. So number 2 now. Giving you a little chance, find the common nouns in number 2. Good? Good. So let's see what we have here now. So I am on my way to the airport to catch a flight to Barbados, where I'll be visiting James. So before, when we were doing proper nouns, we had Barbados and James being nouns as well. So we know they are nouns. They name something. But the only common noun we have here now would be the word airport, because that's the only general thing, because you may have more than one airport in a country. Good. So number 3 now. Take a little time. Right. So King Arthur pulled a sword named Excalibur from the stone. So you have 2 different things now, because you can have any number of swords and not all of them would be called Excalibur. So if you're using sword, it's general and it's just you saying, okay, he pulled a sword from a stone, but this sword has no name. And again, stone is a noun here. It's the name of a thing, right? So, yeah. So last one. So the dragon flew over San Fernando. So what we have here is dragon being the common noun, right? So how many did you get between the common nouns and between the proper nouns? Hopefully you got all of them, and if you were to get a sentence, a paragraph, you could identify them on your own now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little short review and see the kind of things that we have done before and see if we can use those things in our own now. So we already know that a noun is the name of a person, a place, animal, or thing, right? We have established that. We have different examples of all the different types of nouns. So if you have nouns for a person, it can be James, or it can be boy. It can be Sally, or it can be girl. They are all different nouns for different people, right? We have places. So you can have village, or town, or city, or you could specify it, and you could have Princestown, you could have San Fernando, you could have Port of Spain, right? So there are different types of nouns for those as well. Animals. Pets is always a good one to use because you can see that when you have your pets, you may specifically name your pet. So you may have a pet dog and his name may be Rex. There are both nouns there. So you have dog, which is the name of his species, and then you have Rex. So if you have several different dogs and you decide to call on Rex alone, Rex knows it's him you're calling and it's him to come. So if you just say, dog, come, 5 and 6 of them might show up at the same time. We're trying to avoid that. And then we have thing. So you have the sword that we spoke about before. You have the stone that we touched on. you have something specific like Excalibur, or you could take up your watch. Maybe you have a Casio watch. So you have watch being a general thing, and you have your kind of watch being a Casio watch. So that's how it works out there. And then we have common nouns. General name does not begin with a capital letter, but it is still a noun. It's still the name of person, place, animal, or thing. You have things like uncle, mother, father. You have lion, wolf, dog. They are general. They don't name any one particular member of a species or thing. You even have things being common. So you have an eraser, but on your eraser will have a name that tells you the brand of that eraser, and that will be the proper version. Sorry. So we have proper nouns being specific names to person, places, animals, or thing. So that's where the James and the Rex, the dog, and the Bonbon, right? That's where those kinds of things come in. And that's what you have to keep in mind. So if you have a sentence, and in your sentence you are writing, and what you have to do is include either a common or a proper noun, or you are writing a creative writing piece and you want to talk about somebody specific. So if you have several characters in your story, but you are talking about one particular character doing a thing, you won't say the boy or the girl did so and so. You have to tell the reader who exactly you are dealing with. So if you have characters, James, Shelley, Adana, Alicel, those kinds of things, and you know that Alicel is the one making mischief, you have to tell everyone that Alicel is the one making mischief, otherwise they will be confused. And that's how you have to use them. Now, you can, if you have a group of things, you have the girls and the boys, you can't use it as common, but you have to always keep in mind the difference, what the noun is, and how you can use it to make sure that your work has gotten better. So as usual, you can visit the ministry website for more, and I hope you have a very productive day.